Hi beautiful people, I am Mimi. Thanks for joining my channel. If this is your first time, please do well to subscribe, share and like. Please subscribe, both support your girl. In this tutorial I'll be cutting this beautiful Bubu dress. I'll be making use of an Ankara fabric, a 4 yards of Ankara fabric, and also a 2 yards of a Mikado fabric. You can use whichever fabric you want. You can combine a crepe with Ankara, you can just be stylish with whatever it is that you want. But in this tutorial I'll be using Ankara and a Mikado fabric. Now I was done folding my fabric into 4. After doing that, I marked out the length of my dress. I'll be working with a length of 60 inches, but then I made sure I added extra 3 inches to the allowance. Normally I usually work with 2 inches allowance, but I decided to make it 3 now because the dress will be having a joining at the upper part. It's better to add excess than having a shortage. So please be mindful of your allowances while sewing. Now I'll head over to the upper part. My sleeve length from my center back is 22 inches. So I'll be using the whole of the fabric. From there I measured my shoulder to my bust. I used 11.5 inches. Right from shoulder to bust, I went ahead to measure my shoulder to my waist, which was 18 inches. Then from the waist down to the hip, which is 9 inches. From there I measured my bust divided by 4 plus 3. Bust of 37 divided by 4 plus 3 inches allowance. Then same thing for the waist. I made sure I added 3 inches allowance. Depending on how free you want the gown, that is going to decide whatever amount of allowances you'll be adding. So now I am giving it a very good shape right on the bust. So my hip divided by 4 plus 3 was what I took down at the hem of the gown, and I connected back to the hip. Now I've made all of my necessary connections. I went over to chalk out my neckline. I used a width of 3.5 inches and a depth of 1.5 inches for the back. As for the front, I am using a depth of 8.5 inches, which is a V neckline. After I was done doing that, I made my shoulder slant. I measured 1 inch right there and I connected it. So now it's time to cut out. Please, as I've said, if you want your gown to be as free as what you are seeing in the picture, you need to add more than 3 inches. After doing that, I went to measure my shoulder to my waist so that I'll be able to locate where my pocket would be. I gave it a notch. And I cut out my back neckline. After then, I separated the front from the back. So now it's time to give it that sweet curve. To give it a curve, go down by 3 inches from where you notched your pocket. Repeat the same thing on the other hand. I went down by 3 inches from the notched part. Then you go up again at the center front. Come down by 2 inches from where the V neckline stops. And then you connect together. Let me go again. You go 3 inches below from your pocket, connect to the center front 3 inches below the V neckline, and you take it back to the other hand. At this point, you can be as stylish as you want. Then I cut out. As for me, I cut out a single piece, but if you like, you could put the 2 pieces together, I mean the front and the back, and you cut out the same time. So now after I was done, I brought out my Mikado fabric. And I set my Ankara fabric aside. So what I'll be doing now is to bring out this same shape of the Ankara fabric and put it back on the Mikado fabric. It's just like you are doing a replacement. Here I was trying different folds to know which is best for me before I cut out. Please do not forget to put your sewing allowance before you cut out, which is very necessary. You don't want to be short of material. Always remember that it's better to have excess than to have shortage, especially in sewing. Do well to always put your allowance. After placing it rightly, I went ahead to pin down with my pins before I'll cut out. Now it's time to cut out. I added 1.5 inches allowance before cutting out. So here is the thing. I cut out the 2 pieces with the back. Immediately I finished, I brought out the 2 fabrics, which is the center front and the center back. I separated them and I cut out my neckline on the second one. I hope you do understand. I hope you are not confused. So now I am cutting out the neckline, the V neckline, as I've said. Alright, now I'm done cutting out the front and the back. The next step now is to cut out the facing for the necklines. I brought out the leftover fabric and I placed my bodice and cut out the neckline. And please ensure to always use a stable fabric when cutting out your facing. If it's not stable enough, you can add a stay. That is the work of a stay. It will help to give stability to the clothes. This is what it all looks like after cutting. Same thing goes for the back. Look for one of the pieces and cut out a facing for the back as well. Mikado fabric is a very thick material. That was why I never bothered to add a stay. But it's your choice. If you feel like you want to, then fine. Okay, now I was done with the cutting. The next step is to go ahead and join together. Before you join, this is what you do. Locate the center of the dress and you start to pin from there. Pin from one end to the other, then from the other end to the other, to avoid mistakes while sewing. Now I'll head over to my sewing machine to sew it up. I repeated the same process for the back. Pin, locate the center back, you pin and you sew on your machine. So now the next thing is to cut out the pocket. For my pocket opening, I used 8 inches for the pocket opening. And then I cut out 4 pieces, 2 for one side and 2 for the other side. So now I was done turning the neckline. After turning the neckline, make sure you give it a very good notch so as to avoid your neckline from folding. Same thing for the curve too. Make sure you notch. After notching, you give it a very good press so as to allow your sewings to come out very neat and fine. The next thing is to attach the pockets. You attach to the front and to the back. Same thing goes for the other side. After then, you join your shoulders. Join the 2 shoulders together. Then you hem in the sleeve. Once you're done hemming the sleeve, then you sew with 1 inch straight down. Now I was done doing the hemming. I was done joining everywhere. The dress is finished. I took my tassels and I used my needle to sew it down. I arranged it as I wanted, and that was all. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching. Bye.